Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This is Laura with Diamond Painting and Stitching with Laura, and today I'm working on Dream from Diamond Art Club. We are going to finish this. We are on the last fish. So I've worked down here all the way down, but I'm working like in a section, like all the way down, and then we'll just go along like that until we finish, because I'm sick of looking at this thing. I'm not sick of looking at it. I can hardly wait to get it on the wall is the problem. I was watching the Diamond Paint-a-thon, and I was listening to Tia's diamond painting episode. They were talking about ghost stories, so I thought today we'd just make this whoa, sorry guys, I have to look all the way at the top. It just kills me. We talk about my ghost stories. Kind of inspired me, and they're not really ghost stories, but they're stories of things that have happened to me that were kind of out of place. And the most that happened was when I lived in Kansas. And as you know, I moved from Kansas here to Colorado. I hadn't lived there all my life, so I'll start with that. I had just previously been living in Kansas and then moved here because my boyfriend had passed away. Now, all prior to all of this, I worked for a mini-mart type place. Whoops, I need 3, please. And it was a nice little place. It had, your basic counterpart, that you had to work at, and it also had a little separate kitchen, that was separated by one of those little quarter doors, you could go in and out, so you could actually see into the kitchen part. And I had this girl that I worked with, and I wasn't particularly fond of her, but, in the end, we all had our came to Jesus moment, you know what I mean? So we finally got along, and we're the best of friends. But one night we were working, and we had to work until 11 o'clock, which was normal for that kind of a place. And the whole shift, like I got there at 5, and worked until like 11 when we closed. And I was the assistant manager, so I would have to lock up and put the alarm on, that kind of thing. Okay, so I'm just kind of setting this all up. And I had to work in the kitchen that night, and she was working on the counter. And the whole shift, stupid things would happen. I mean, just stupid things. Like, I was in the kitchen, and I looked over, and a loaf of bread fell off the shelf. Well, now, in my brain, I know that somebody didn't put it back right. It just fell off. So, all night, I was teasing her that it was this ghost Samuel. And I knew, for some reason, that name just stuck with me. I know nothing about the history of that area. But, I mean, it had been farmland for a while, and this town was like, there was like 400 people. So they had like a strip of buildings that was left. I mean, none of the old buildings were left, so they had just built like a strip, and there was like a lumber company and the post office and some other business or something. And then across the street there was like a grain elevator, like you would expect, and then maybe another few buildings and a car auto body place. So, I mean, you had maybe a random 10 businesses in the whole town. So, and it had actually been moved, the whole town, because of, they flooded it to build this great big dam, the old town, and there was not much of it left at all when they did all that in the 60s. Okay, so now we have a new town, and So I don't know. This must have been farmland or just flat out land, if you will. Um, so like I said, I don't know any more history about the land than that. But I kept feeling the name Samuel. And to this day, I remember this because it was such a strong feeling. So the door that I went in and out, like I said, it was a little half door. It was probably 2 foot by 3 foot or something. And it would stick. Well, I also had I had a fan there, and it would keep it open. I said, look, see, it's Samuel, it's Samuel. So every time something stupid would happen, I would say it was Samuel. So time goes on, and now she's like really flipping out, because I've been at this since I got there, basically. So time passes on, and we get ready to close. She counts the money like normal, and we go to set the alarm. Now, we both had to leave at the same time, so I'd set the alarm. She'd stand still in one place by the door. We'd have the door open, of course. And I set the alarm. I went back to go out the door. I'm like, go, 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 because you got like 30 seconds. So we both get out the door. Now, mind you, all the lights are out in the store except for like one, because they have to have one for the cop to be able to see the whole place. So I'm like, go, because I have to go and out and set that alarm. It's set now, and I need the door shut before this 30 seconds is up, right? So she's like all freaked out anyway by everything that I'd said all night. So we both get outside. I put the key in the door, and just as I put the key in the door to just lock it and go, the frickin' alarm went off. We both screamed so loud that everybody in that entire town probably heard us. I threw the keys up in the air, and I'm trying to get it open now because in the moment of panic, I had locked it. So now we can't get back in to unset the alarm so that the people wouldn't call, because they always called, see if the alarm went off, to see and make sure everybody was okay. Oh my God, we were both laughing and screaming so hard, and I turned to her and I said, see, I told you he wanted to go home with you. And she just I thought she was just going to come undone. And we finally got in there. The phone, of course, now is ringing because it took us at least 45 seconds to find the keys that I had thrown. And, they all wanted to know if, we were okay, and I had to explain what was going on. Yeah. Oh, that was so funny that happened. But, oh my God. Just weird shit would happen at that store. I mean, beyond what... stuff would just randomly fall off the shelves. So, anyway, and stuff like that had happened. So I just fed into it and fed her into it. Oh my God. Yeah, that was a night to remember. And now I lived right behind this store. Not right behind, but there was a street right behind it, and a small housing development, if you will, right behind it. And all these houses had been put in or built. Whoa! Oh God, that would have been a nightmare. I almost spilled all that. It's not like we have a whole lot to work with here, people. See, I'm getting all freaked out. No, I'm not freaked out. So this house that I lived in was built in the early 70s, late 60s. So it wasn't, too terribly old. Okay, that was almost 40-some years ago. But a little old man and a little old lady had lived in this house. And I think, it was a matter of one of them passed away and the other one had to go to a nursing home, that kind of thing. And I don't believe that either of them were still alive by the time we had rented this house. But weird stuff would happen at that house. And all the time. You would be laying in bed and and it wasn't a big house. I would say it was probably It had 2 bedrooms, the living room and the front, or the living room and the kitchen all matched. I mean, not all matched, was all one room. And so if you were sitting in the living room, you could see the kitchen, you know what I mean? And all the cabinets were like facing you if you were sitting on the couch. So one night my boyfriend and I are sitting on the couch, just watching a movie, minding our own business, and you could and he smoked cigarettes, and I smoked cigarettes. So that wasn't abnormal. But every once in a while you would get like a smell, just, and I don't wear perfume. I don't wear perfume unless I'm going out. So it wouldn't be something that I did in my daily regime and all that. So, hang on guys, I gotta find another color. So, we're just sitting there, and all of a sudden the whole room filled with the smell of perfume. Now it was something like Houbigant or Oscar de la Renta or something, because I mean it was heady. I mean you could just literally smell it, and we're looking at each other going, what the hell? And it wasn't like it was hot, like there was a breeze or anything. It just filled the room. So we didn't think anything about it. And then we're sitting there another night, and you could smell pipe tobacco. Now my father used to smoke a pipe, so I could kind of or pipe, or he didn't smoke cigars, but you know, they both have kind of a distinct smell. The whole room's filled up with like a stronger tobacco smell than cigarettes. And we're like, what the hell? So didn't think anything about it. Then there was one night when we were sitting there once again watching TV, and we had a big screen TV, so you know it kind of consumed one corner. And we had, like on those cabinets that I told you about, got a piece of frickin' plastic. I laid plastic down over this mess last night. Hang on. Thank God for every moment tweezers. And it stuck. Yeah, it was special. Let me tell you. I think I got it all. Anyway, so we're just watching TV, minding our own business. And like I started to say, I'm sorry, I'm getting it all screwed up. At the top of the cabinets, there was like that 1 foot area where, you know, you could put stuff. And a whole pack, you know how you have individual packets of like saltine crackers? It just came flying right off the top shelf. But stuff like that, you know, I mean, harmless stuff. And I guess it didn't freak us out enough because it never happened again. But I mean, it flew like 6-8 feet right off the top of the cabinet. So it was weird. So that was the weird house. Let's see, what else happened? Well, I know I don't have visions, but, and I don't know what the word is, but like we were in Leadville, and Leadville was founded in like, hang on, I gotta find my 1879, due to the silver and the gold. Hang on, I gotta make sure I got the right number. The silver and the gold strikes. So there was a lot of things going on there. And there was an old hotel, and I don't know when it was established, anything like that. I know that President Taft stayed at that hotel. So, I mean, it went back quite a ways. But, like I'm saying, not any further than 1879, because that's when the town started. But so they had renovated it over the years, and upstairs they were renovating them into apartments and that kind of thing. And downstairs they had retail stores that, and big, huge 12-foot ceilings, the whole 9 yards, and had redone some of the architecture inside, to fit for businesses. So they had taken out this entire staircase. And we were in there just looking around, and it was like a novelty store, where it had all different kinds of stuff. Not a drugstore exactly, it didn't sell drugs, but it had nice, cutesy stuff, you know. And I look up across the room, and there's a great big huge wall. It had fans, great big, like decorative fans that were probably 1.5 to 3 feet wide, fans you could put on your wall if you had a house big enough. But one part of that whole thing, you could just see blank wall. And I looked up, and oh my God, I could just see the entire wall filled with that staircase that had been there, and people walking down that staircase, because it had been a hotel before it was that. So, I mean, it must have had a hell of a reception area if that whole downstairs store was where the reception area was. So, I mean, it was pretty grand scale for the early 1900s. So, yeah. So I have things like that happen to me where I see flashes of past life, if that makes any kind of sense. The same thing happened to me in Burlington, Kansas. It was right on the Mississippi River. And we went down there one day because we lived in Burlington. And we're just walking around, and it was kind of a cold and windy day. And we got out. We didn't much want to get the kids out. I just wanted to see the area. And it was something I had to see, and I didn't know why until what happened. But I'm just standing there, and it was like in The Mummy where that kid looked at his thing, that bracelet he had on, it projected a thing. It's like it projected the whole thing right in front of me. I could see riverboats. I could see people on the docks working. I could see them loading things. It was just very, very, very vivid. And it just, I don't know. I got back in the car and I said, okay, I've seen this. We're good. And he's like, what the hell's wrong with you? I said, I want to talk about it. And I didn't. For the longest time, So stuff like that would happen. I'd be projected into, not into particularly, because I could still feel my body. It's just like somebody opening a window and there you are. You could see it. You couldn't necessarily but act with those people or anything. It's just like, it was just showing me what it was. So, yeah, stuff like this happens. But especially in old towns. And I don't know if it's my brain working overtime. And, and I question myself as to why somebody was showing me that. Or, because there wasn't anything I could change. I don't know. It was just really bizarre. So, yeah. Nothing, up to that point, nothing, up to that point where I was going with that is like, when I was a child, I never saw anybody old or anything like that, that had passed away. Nobody passed away when I was a smaller child. So, I was like 8 years old when my grandfather passed away. I guess he was my great-grand. Nope. Yes, he was my great-grandfather. So, you know, that didn't even come into play. And I was one of those scared kids. I mean, I would not watch. They knew better than to show me a horror movie. I mean, and my parents really didn't like horror movies. I mean, they weren't. I mean, there's no way I would have watched Psycho. I was like 40-some years old when I watched Psycho, so that'd tell you something. But just weird incidents that happen, you know. And you don't know why or what. Now, when my boyfriend passed away, I was in my first boyfriend that passed away. Yes, I had 2 of them. Hang on. And I was in the house, you know, where the crackers, 7, 9, 10. Hang on. I gotta do 3 things here at one time. When he passed away, I was there at the house by myself. Now, by then, I mean, I'm used to hearing people talk. I'd get up and go in the front room, and there'd be nobody. So I don't know what the deal was on that. But I mean, they would be carrying on conversations. It's not like I could hear what the heck they were talking about or anything. But by the time I'd get there, you know, it would be over, so to speak. Oh, I'm not going there. All right. And so anyway, he had passed away, and I was sleeping by myself. 7, 9, 8. And I don't know if I was on the verge of sleep or if I was asleep, but it's like somebody came up and whispered in my ear. Not whispered, but just said it out loud, but not real terribly loud. It's your turn. And I woke up, I mean, got out of, you know, you're almost asleep days. I'm like, what the hell? So I never knew what that was all about. But that was the one and only time that anybody had, like any ghost or anything had said anything to me at all. So, yeah, I've never seen an apparition, or I've seen a projection. I mean, that's what I call, you know, when I would see the towns or what it was like or what it looked like before, that kind of thing. And I would get sad if we were driving around by some of the mining districts up there in Leadville. Like, I don't know, for just, it would just be like melancholy just came all over me, and I had no reason or excuse why. I don't know, maybe I could emphasize, I can't say that word, you know what I mean. I felt for the people, and it was really strong, you know. So, but those are my ghost stories. If you have any ghost stories, feel free to share. I guess we're telling ghost stories today. But, so I just thought I'd share my little ghost story on my whip and chat. So none of them were really scary things that happened, or, you know, I didn't even cross my mind that anybody would follow us home or nothing like that. So, I don't know. Now, when I was working for the Dairy Queen there in, now this was the next town up, so it was like 3 miles away. It was actually built where there had been a farmhouse. And we got to talking about that one day, and, you know, what was there and that kind of stuff, and, you know, just kind of throwing it out, you know. I wonder what the people were like and what their lives were like, because, you know, that was an older town too. And I think it was just right there. I mean, I don't think they ever moved that town or anything weird, but hell, they could have. So anyway, time passes on, and one day I couldn't find my knife. that I use to cut like tomatoes and stuff for the hamburgers. And I just kiddingly said, oh, maybe the ghost took it or whatever. I was kind of feeding into that. I was big on feeding into that, scaring myself in the process. So everybody is out of this. There's a whole great big back room, and there's like a great big, not archway, but entryway into that. It'd be enough for 2 double doors, if you will, if there had been doors. But and otherwise, it lead into where they kept the boxes and all that kind of crap. And nobody was back there, and all of a sudden, the light just came on, or when it turned off. It was on because we were working, of course, but it turned off, and the light switch was down. And I came back. We're like, holy hell, what's going on? And all of a sudden, I mean, it was just weird. Because you went over to the light switch and flipped it on and flipped it off. It was like a solid. You had to flip it on or flip it off. There was no leaving it in one position or another, or halfway or anything like that. So, and that was the same day that I lost the knife, and I came back and the knife was sitting right on the counter where I'd been working. Yeah. So, yeah. Just weird stuff like that, that you're just like, But some places I've gone into just give me a really creeped out feeling, and I don't know why, and you don't know what transpired or the history of what had been. And most of the buildings in Leadville were older buildings. I mean, 100-year-old buildings, at least. And I've been in some of them there that there's just something wrong. You can't figure it out, and you don't know why, but it is. So, okay, now that I've essentially scared the crap out of everybody, but no. And nothing ever followed us home or anything like that. I mean, or bothered us, beyond those happenings. And if they did, we just didn't pay attention, So, and I think if you feed into it, I strongly believe if you feed into it and you're afraid, there's a reason. There's a reason why. You might not be able to figure it out, but just go away. Go move someplace else if you have to, or you can. But don't, I guess, think about it again, I guess. Because if you feed into it, I think they feed on that. So, and I strongly believe in that, And since I've been living here in this house, I'm not afraid. Nothing has happened or anything like that. So, I don't think there's any bad spirits here, but this house isn't too old, and, I think there was happy times here. Oh, my claim to fame. I did see an apparition. I'm sorry. I forgot. Okay, so now we're living in outside of Columbia, Missouri. And I'm living with a different boyfriend. Yeah. And my daughter's there. And we're living in a mobile home. And somebody told me that there was a little old lady that had we were renting, owned the place, and she had to go to a nursing home or whatever. I'm like, okay, no problem. So my boyfriend goes away for Christmas. Yeah, I know, that sucked. Don't even want to talk about how that sucked. But he had already made plans and blah, blah, blah. Okay? So, I'm trying to find a color here. Just need a few. So, my daughter is at one end of the trailer. That's where her bedroom was, and mine was at the other. And I'm sleeping in a queen-size bed by myself. And it's dark and it's late. Lights are all off. And I'm sleeping. And for some reason, I wake up. I have no idea what time it is. I don't even look at the clock. And I rolled over. And I'm between the dream stage, you know, half awake, half asleep. And there is like a glowing light on the other side of the bed. Okay, let me preference this. The bed is on this one wall. And on this side is like my dresser. There's like 3 feet until you hit the other wall. So 3 or 4 feet at least. And then there's a window. Window's got shades and drawn because we're always sleeping weird hours. Okay. Moving right along. So I woke up and I turned over and there's this glowing, I don't know what to say, manifestation of a rocking chair, and there's an older woman sitting in the rocking chair, and she's just gently rocking. And I said, well, what are you doing here? And she says, oh, I just came to visit for the holidays. I said, okay, we'll see you later. And I rolled back over and went right to sleep. So whether that really happened or not, it was plain as day. Plain as day. Now, mind you, I got my glasses off, but I could see her clearly. She wasn't anybody I knew. I mean, because my grandmother was still alive. So, well, I don't know that, let me think. No, she wasn't alive. But it wasn't my grandmother. And no relative that I knew of. So I figured it was the little old lady that lived in the house before us. And she had passed away. But, yeah, that's the one and only time I'd ever seen an apparition. And I wasn't afraid. I felt no threat, no nothing. Of course, I'm half awake and half asleep. I mean, shit, they could have killed me. I don't know. But, I mean, I've never had anybody try to choke me to death or anything weird like that. So, yeah. Okay. I'm so glad I'm telling this during the day. See, I have all day to think about this. But, just little things that have happened to me along the way, But never got to see any of my grandparents or anybody that... Because, like they say, children are more tuned in to those things because they have no preconceptions of anything. They're true spirits. Their innocence and that kind of thing. My bed, but when I was little, hell, there might have been. And that house was built in like the 1900s. But my parents had built a dormer. It was like a one level house when we got it. Or my dad took over the payments when his father passed away from my grandmother. So, I mean, but my father told me this. See, I was in the bedroom one time, and my dad was fixing something underneath the bed. So I didn't put two and two together at the time because I'm a child. And I was just sitting in there talking to him while he was doing that. And I had my feet, and they were bare. And this was a, what do you call it? One of those 4-poster mahogany beds. And so the headboard had like a 2-inch gap, in between it at the foot and the headboard, where the mattress wasn't high enough or whatever, because it had been made for a higher bed. And somebody pulled my foot. So, my brain goes into hyperdrive, and I kind of screamed or whatever, and my dad's like, what, what are you talking about? And somebody had pulled my foot. Well, he didn't fess up to it at the time, and I didn't think anything about it. So then, in my small but little brain, so every time I got in bed, I never had my hair hanging over the edge because I thought somebody was going to grab it. And I had long hair, but not quite that long. And I always kept it tucked underneath me. And I always kept my feet up and like curled into like a fetal position so nobody could grab my foot. So years later, he told me it was him. that had grabbed my foot. You know, he was just being funny. And he thought it was funny that all that time, that's what I thought, that somebody, hey, we almost got this done, had pulled my foot, but it was him. So, you know, it's amazing how much you affect a child with just messing around, so to speak. So be sure you clear that up with your kids, you know? Oh, it was just me. Now, my dad did pull one bad one time. Oh, my God. I was in, like, junior high, and I called my mom to tell her that I was going to be a little bit late. But I don't remember. I think my dad answered the phone, and I said, I'm going to be late. Why are you home? Oh, I'm just home. And I'm like, wow, that just freaked me out. So, I mean, I practically ran home because I thought there was something wrong with my mother. So, yeah, I was young and impressionable. So you can understand why the horror thing just never came into play. So, but if you got funny stories like that, I'd love to hear them. You know, things that you can't explain, or just weird stuff. And now, you know, I watch Ghost Adventures with Zach Bagans, and that's my Saturday show. But and it doesn't bother me. It doesn't scare me anymore. I just don't like horror. I mean, I found out watching horror movies, the ones from the 80s or whatever, it just seemed to be all blood and guts, and I wasn't about blood and guts more than being scary. So I'd rather watch a mystery show, you know, like Whodunit or whatever. So it comes, but Chucky, oh my God, no Chucky, no Chucky. My daughter would watch that thing and she'd end up screaming. So no horror shows for the kids either. You know, like right before bed. So, but Chucky did me in because I love my dolls. Come on, I love my dolls, and that it was like, nope, we're done. And then I'd watched a few other things. 97792. That this one lady, she's an empath of some kind, I think. And I forgot. Oh, Dead Files. And she was talking about how dolls were the vessels for the dead. That did it. We're done. Yeah, my dolls are locked in their trunk because I figured Chatty Cathy's going to come back and haunt me. Yeah, so. All right. Where are we? Yeah, I prattled on and on and on. Let's see here. To see where we're at. So, yeah, just a few things have happened, but nothing traumatic where I'd have a conversation with anybody. I mean, short of that conversation with the little old lady. Hang on, I gotta get a drink of coffee. I'm coming. Oh, I bring the coffee, but I don't take a drink. I'm doing well. I'm paranoid to leave my coffee cup with the diamond painting or the stitching project, so if I have something to drink while I'm doing stuff, it's usually stuff with a lid. So, yeah, they just kind of inspired me. Look at, we got the little fishy done. Oh, I'm gonna miss him, stupid fish. God. Come on, get in there. I'll have to roll this, of course, but hey, it's coming. But I just thought I'd share my ghost story since everybody on Diamond Painting Marathon was sharing theirs. And I don't have too many. And we weren't one to sit around and talk about ghost stories. You know what I mean? Like, even on slumber parties or that kind of crap. So, can't even tell you any spooky stories that way. But, and if I did, I've forgotten them all. But we really didn't, you know, I ran around with a bunch of Southern Baptists. They didn't believe in ghosts. So, you know, it wasn't 3828. We were too busy talking about boys, I think. 3828. Or something to that effect. Nope, wrong color. Yeah. Oh, I needed that color, actually. So, yeah. If you have some stories you want to share, go right ahead. It doesn't bother me. I mean, my boyfriend tells stories about how the key melted in the door one day at some place they lived. And I'm like, okay, time to get out of that place. But if I think it's 3H, where did it go? Going to affect me, I'll turn it off. I don't like, what do you call it, exorcisms. It bothers me. So if Zach is on one of those things where somebody's being exorcised, no, won't watch it. I didn't even see The Exorcist. Come on, people. Let's get real here. So, yeah. All right. Well, guys, I think that's going to be it for today. Thanks for listening to me ramble on about my ghost stories. They're my big claim to fame. Because I think everybody has a ghost story, you know, or something, you know, that whether they like to or not, or something weird that happened. And see, where I don't have ghost stories, I have dreams. I mean, I have vivid dreams. And just, I mean, I'll even dream about people that have been dead for 15, 20 years. So, and that's weird. So I just figured that they're coming to visit and to their way of saying hi, but sometimes this isn't the stuck piece. I was going to show you. Maybe, if I don't knock the camera over. So, oops. Whoop. Yeah, let me do, I always do that, don't you? Don't you know? Come on, you little freak. I'm trying not to knock over everything. So, I put the plastic back down, but that's the corner. So, I just have this area right in here to match up with that, and then we'll have that part done. Then I'll just go on and just keep doing section by section. It's taken me a couple of days, but hey. Well, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and please hit the bell, and that way you'll know when my next video comes out. Y'all have a good rest of your weekend. God bless. Bye-bye.